Hi everybody, Russell Markham here from VectorVest. I'm really excited today. I'm going to talk all about Dividend Kings in America, but before I get going there, please note our VectorVest licenses there. We're authorized under Central Wealth Pty Limited. You can also refer to our financial services guide per our website there. In addition, the next slide here, any advice is general advice and does not consider your personal objectives, financial situations or needs. Please do speak to your financial professional for personal advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Forecasts and bank tests used or discussed in this presentation are intended as guide only, and actual results may be affected by known or unknown risks and uncertainties and therefore may differ materially from the results ultimately achieved. So what I've done here is I've hopped into the US, all right, so under viewers here, the US market. So the essay we've written this week here is talking about the Dividend Kings for the US market, all right. And what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to viewers, then watch list viewer. And what I've done here is I've gone to, let's say, my watch lists. So this one here, and then you can generate a new watch list, and in this case here I'm going to call it, let's say, Dividend Kings. There we are on my keyboard, push enter, and it'll then populate it. So there we are. And then what I can do from this point, and in the weekly essay I've given you a link, so hopefully you've already downloaded that CSV file. So create your watch list, and then over here, see that button there, right? So import symbols from a file, click on that. Locate the one I've given you, so make sure you've downloaded that. Dividend Aristocrats, click open, and then the next window will pop up here. Just leave it all there, and I'll push OK. And then it'll ask me, well, where do you want to pull this into? Yep, Dividend Kings, that's where I want it. OK. And there you go. So it'll save you a lot of time. You won't have to type out all 40 of those symbols. Otherwise, the other option is you just need to add them in manually one by one. All right, so LOW, for example, you know, A, B, 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 V, etc., etc., and you put them in. There's no .AX, of course, because this is purely for the US market. All right, so there you are, a lot quicker way to speed it up. And let's have a look. So 40 in total found. Coming down to the bottom here, right, so this is as of the close of 8 March. You'll see here, look over here, RS, average RS, relative safety 1.05, good. If I move over here to the growth rate, then really jumped out at me as well, 16%. That makes sense for companies that are going to pay good dividends. They've got to be growing those earnings. And let's see if I move over here a bit more over here. Here we go, dividends $3.03 paid per share on average, the yield there being 2.11%. So 2%, and your dividend safety, look at that, the dividend safety of 62 out of 99. Anything above 60 is excellent. You know, that's a really solid score there. You know, 60, 70, 80, but you know, in Australia 60 is excellent. I mean, in the US, I'd say above 60 is still very, very good too. In my opinion, it's an excellent score. And then you can also check your earnings yield, 6.2. So that's theoretically what a company could afford to pay versus 2.11. So they've got plenty of dividend potential up their sleeve. They're paying 2.11, hence a very good dividend safety score. Let's right-click, view the watch list average graph. And doing this, let's bring it across here. This now becomes telling for dividend yield. Let's just make that jump out just a tad more here. Okay, so let's have a look at this. If I pull this back, let's pull it back 25 odd years. All right, now Dividend Kings are growing their dividends year in and year out for at least 50 years. Right, so we can go back 25 years, 9 months currently in the US market, and you can see, look at that. So there you are, those dividends are growing consistently over the years, at least 25 years worth there. The yield, you can see there, it's been hovering around about that 2 to 2.5, and it just came on to where it was around about 4% there, 3.55. Let's see, was it a little bit higher, 3.86. So it got pretty close to the 4% mark, but I think it's fair to say a best fit type line going in here would be around about 2.5%, 2.2 to about 2.5. So those Dividend Kings are certainly paying, a consistent 2 to 2.5% consistently. What's interesting here is going back 25 odd years, you can see the average price there was around about $18, $19. It's gone all the way up to 143. So about a 700% increase over the last, 25 odd years, nearly 26 years worth. All right, so good returns over the years. But remember, Dividend Kings is all about those dividends, and you're certainly seeing those dividends growing year in and year out. So see what you think there. Now, what you can do is you can refine it down further too. So one thing you could do, let's see here, if I close that down, I can make a copy. So right click, let's make a copy of this. All right, so you know that all of these companies here have had their dividends increase by a certain percentage every year for the last 50 odd years. And then what you could do currently is you could come in here and you could say, okay, well, look, I know they are all growing their dividends on average. So I could scroll across the dividend yield column, click on the DY column, dividend yield. These are the juiciest dividend payers. And I might say keep the top 10. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so everything from here onwards, I'll take out. All right, so let's select that all, delete selected. So I've now whittled it down to the 10 best payers. Just careful, 1 or 2 of these are sell rated. We'll come across back over here. Let's right click and view the watch list average graph. All right, and we'll pull that back over time. So here we go, got 25 years worth. And now you've got a slightly higher dividend paying set of stocks, at least in recent times here. Right, consistently growing their dividends. Look at that, no surprises. Earnings are growing. That strong correlation between rising earnings and rising dividends being paid. And in this case here, your yield certainly in recent times has been pretty impressive, that around about that close to that 4% mark over the last year or two, or certainly approaching it. In terms of returns there, all right, so you can see the returns there. It's gone from an average price of 25 to 86. So it's not as impressive in terms of the capital growth over that time period. But if you're looking for high dividend yield currently, that is one such method you could consider. So let me bring across the resource set here that we referred to. So Sure Dividend, suredividend.com/dividends-kings. I've put a link there in your weekly essay on this as well, but it was updated on the 1st of March 2022. So it's hot off the press, and you can read up all about it. Very comprehensive write-up here. And as I scroll down, I'll just move on quickly down here, but you can see this is where it breaks it out. Okay, so it starts breaking it all out for you, and you'll see there effectively a lot of those utility companies. Utility companies have been the biggest representation in terms of, the biggest grouping of those consistent Dividend Kings. And as noted in the weekly essay that this video is part of this week there, that those utility companies, you can't really negotiate with them, right? If you own a house or you're renting and the electricity company says to you, well, here it is, this is our price increase, chances are that just about all the other utility companies have increased their price as well. So you can't really shop around. Sure, you can here or there, don't get me wrong, but if your water supplier, for example, your utility water supplier, often certain estates, residential areas, you don't have any choice. There's only the one provider. They put up their costs. There's not much you can really do about that. So unless you can bring in tanked water, you've got enough tanked water on your property. But having said that, it doesn't surprise me to see that utility companies have been able to increase their dividends consistently over the years, because often they tend to have a monopoly type status. All right, so if you get a chance here, read the Dividend Kings. It's really well written in terms of the analysis there. Look at that, it talks about earnings per share. We've seen that there in the VectorVest system. We've got a 12-month leading forecast on earnings, so it's incredibly useful. And look at that history of consecutive dividends since 1965, and it works through all of that. So a great read if you get the chance. But you know what? I don't necessarily have to go through all that analysis, because by building a watch list, importing it per the link we've given you in your weekly essay. So if you're watching this on YouTube, for example, you'll need to check out the weekly essay, which will have been written by the 12th of March. So you'll go into the VectorVest views on the 12th of March for Australia, and you'll read up and you'll get that link so you can put in all those stocks. All right, so there it all is. I've got it all here at my fingertips. The last one I'll show you here is GRT earnings growth rate. So we spoke about earnings growth rate in our weekly essay in regards to what we're showing you here today. And look at that earnings growth rate there. You can see just how well it has been doing on that list of stocks. Let's close out of here. Let's go back to the Dividend Kings. All right, so there's aristocrats. We want to talk about kings. There we are, Dividend Kings, view, right, click there, watch list average. Here we go, here's your Dividend Kings. So if I pull that back 25 years, look how impressive the all-encompassing list has been. Look at that big uplift in the earnings growth rate there in recent times too. Look at that, it's phenomenal in terms of the uplift that's been taking place recently. All right, so pulling that all back there, shouldn't surprise you, GRT, strong EPS, and of course goes without saying those dividends just consistently track up. All right, so I'll leave it there. Dividend Kings, hope you got a lot out of it. Until next week, bye for now.